Good afternoon. Hello, my fellow colleagues and professor. My name is Guilherme Defalque. The title of my work is Technology for Animal Welfare and Comfort Estimates in Livestock. My supervisor is Professor Ricardo Santos. I appreciate your presence. Let's start. Okay. The market evolution has raised the level of requirements in the control parameters that influence meat quality, such as animal welfare. So, what is animal welfare? Quoting Duncan and Fraser in 1997, welfare is the state of the animal's body and mind and the extent to which its nature, genetic traits manifest in breed and temperament, is satisfied. So, animal welfare is a topic of great relevance in the livestock production chain. The concern with animal welfare linked to the requirements of international customers. For example, the European market is known for the quality requirements of final products, and the Arabic countries like to know how animals are slaughtered. So, what and when to monitor the parameters? Some examples here. Genetic quality of the animal is a factor of study in the most diverse areas, mainly in the question of crossing to heavy animals with better performance in reproduction. Secondly, during the gestation phase, factors such as the quality of food and the temperature are important for the correct development of the fetus. And in third, after birth, care with feeding and the amount of food ingested by calf are essential aspects for correct growth. From weaning phase to the fattening phase, the amount of food, weather monitoring, and diet are the main factors that have been shown to influence in animal health development. Finally, from the sale of animal to slaughter, parameters such as stress related to handling and the transportation and the way animals are slaughtered follow strict protocols. These protocols are required by several countries. So, why monitor the parameters? And because some improvements can be carried out. Firstly, decreasing production cost, management, food disease prevention. Secondly, increase the animal productive. We can avoid that the stress caused by high temperatures from interfering with the animal's diet, for example. In third, match market requirements, respect the requirements imposed by countries, achieve sales targets, for example. And finally, animal welfare is directly linked to these parameters. What parameters to monitor? So there is general agreement that animal welfare is assured when the 5 main freedom principles states are fulfilled. These freedom principles were proposed in 1997 by the UK's Farm Animal Welfare Committee. These freedoms are freedom from hunger, and third, freedom from discomfort, freedom from pain, injury, and disease, freedom from fear and distress, freedom to express normal behaviors. So these freedoms are internationally recognized, but they are ideal states later than the standards from acceptable welfare. Moreover, as pointed out by UK's Farm Animal Welfare Council, committee, there is no gold standard to measure good animal welfare, considering that objective measures can be defined or recorded in some cases, but others are currently very difficult to access. For example, sadness, happiness, fear. However, we can have some clues for this. And Fortman and Kelly in 29, and for cattle, deer, beef, and calf, farms, they identify four welfare principles: good feeding, good housing, good health, and the appropriate behavior. So, despite this definition, in fact, there is no clear study that shows which are the parameters that define animal welfare and that can model welfare. And this is the point that precisely what we to model. But if we look again at the image shown before, we can see that the health and the weather parameters appear in practically all phases of the chain. And this gives us a clue as to what are the most important points to create a model that characterizes animal welfare. So before the question was, which parameters? And now the point is, how to monitor these parameters? So we have some examples. To check the health states of animal, we can use an oximeter to check animals' heart rate and blood oxygenation rate. Secondly, we can monitor an animal digestive behavior with microphones positioned on the animal's forehead and apply the bioacoustic technique. In third, monitor climate parameters through sensor of air quality and the temperature can assist in decision-making to avoid thermal stress in animals and loss in production. And finally, with all these parameters, we can adapt a model created in automated feeding system, for example, automated thrust, to predict the amount of food that a certain animal needs daily without reducing its performance in weight gain, without generating food losses and increasing the livestock productivity. But if all that have shown how to design mathematical models, we have some examples of what is currently behind used in precision livestock. In the first line, a linear regression model to correct the bias found in an experiment carried out to compare a static and dynamic cattle weight imbalances, improving the accuracy of the dynamic rate imbalance. And in second line, Duria et al. 2018, using their three-dimensional variables obtained from images of calves, he managed to create a model to predict weight through three techniques: linear regression, partition least squares, and neural networks. Because we can have an idea of what is used today. The biggest problem is in data integration, selection of parameters, and which modeling technique to use. We can use a combination of the most diverse statistical techniques with the strong computational power and the animal science for data science applied to livestock. In some literatures, we have seen the use of supervised and supervised learning. For example, we will have to choose the best and adapt it to make it better. So the main goals of this work includes model the problem and specify the set of characteristics and the requirements for a system that allows measuring welfare and the productivity in livestock from environments with diets that include supplementation and feeding on pasture. Secondly, designing and implement algorithms for animal welfare and the productivity estimates from the set of specified characteristics. And finally, experimentally evaluate the implementations carried out with a view on validating and characterizing the solution. The main results of the work includes economic feasibility studies for the adoption of technologies aimed at increasing productivity in livestock and fostering innovation in agribusiness, focusing on the technology usage on beef cattle market. Okay, ask me any question in Portuguese.